Hi, everybody. It's Mary Lynn of Hard at Work and Master Biz Builders. And we're doing this wonderful summit about marketing for change makers. And I'd really like you to meet Summer. She's a fantastic lady and she really knows her stuff, very, very much of a change maker. So, welcome, Summer.
Hey, thank you so much, Mary Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing great. Busy as usual, but good. We're all good. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
so
is
glad to
fantastic.
have you. And so if you would just like to just introduce yourself and tell us, what you do and how you help people, and you know the drill. So you just
Yeah,
go ahead.
okay. Well, my name is Dr. Summer Watson. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, a master's in human services with a specialty in community counseling, and a bachelor's for your neck of the woods, actually, Maryland, from Berkeley,
Okay.
where I studied English literature. And
Mm,
right after that, I had jumped into law school, but found that that wasn't necessarily for me. So I knew I wanted to help people, so I went in a different direction. I went in the
yeah.
direction of human services.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since I've been, what, 25, 24, 25, I've been in this field and been helping people in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I own a business. I established that business in 2018. It's called Core Women. It starts with a K,
Mm-hmm.
and it stands for how we as humans kinetically connect. So as
Mm-hmm.
we move through the world, how do we connect? How do we make those connections and those meaningful connections?
Right.
How do we organically learn from one another? How do we reshape our lives through diverse interaction? And how do we, most importantly, empower each other to promote change? And that is what you do every day. Thank you, Mary Lynn.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Core Women and other things you do to promote change for women and how you help women, because I know you do such a great job with that, but
Yeah.
maybe just tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I love helping women. I've always wanted to create a space for women, but I also like working with men. And men have reached out to me and said, huh, you know what? You have a business for women, but how can I work with you? How
Hmm.
can we do a podcast together? How can we? Because I do have a podcast, and
Hmm.
Core Women is a coaching and production company. And
Hmm.
so, what I mean by that is, I do coaching with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, organizations, businesses to really help them become more aware and more emotionally agile.
Hmm.
Number one, that works into their strategy as business owners. And two, be great connectors. And I mean, really good rooted connectors that really have those meaningful connections, not just networking. And I don't use that word a lot because it reminds me of when we go back, and I'm going to date myself
Yeah.
here, when you go back into the 80s,
Hmm.
and that word was really about connecting computers,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And that's more digital. And so for me, or networking was, and so they have these, what they call these butterfly, things
Hmm.
that would connect all these computers. And I'm like, yeah, but where's the connection there? So we use the word network a lot, but I'm thinking, you know what? I want to change that to meaningful connection.
Hmm.
Because for me, that makes a significant difference. There's a shift there in regards to mind and spirit. And
Hmm.
so for me, that connection is so wonderful, both in person and digitally. So, what I mean by, and I'm going to go back to what I mean by production, is when I started my company, I wanted to make sure that, yes, I love coaching. Yes,
Hmm.
I love working with people, but what can I produce? What can I produce to bring people together to make that meaningful connection?
Hmm.
And so I started producing in person seminars, digital seminars. I produced and had no idea what I was doing, started producing a podcast called
Hmm.
Core Women, the Core Women podcast. And I jumped in. I was nervous. I was like, how do I even do this? So if you go back and listen to my first podcast to today, and now I've published probably over 288 podcasts
Hmm.
since 2018, there's a significant difference, but the intention behind each and every one of those episodes is the same, is to create a safe platform to feature women to talk about their stories, their journeys, their resiliency, their setbacks, how they overcame those setbacks, their tenacity. And every single one of those episodes, every 288 of those episodes so far, are meaningful to me.
Yeah, no, I was on one and it was
Yes.
probably the best interview, like I said before to you, is
Oh,
the best show to be on. And you felt totally like really well connected, deep connected, a deep
thank you.
connection. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in your deep connection, how do you relate to change makers? What do you think they should be doing besides moving their movement?
Yeah. Okay. Very good question. And thank you for asking it. So, really, from the framework that I come from, and having worked in human services for so long, having worked in the nonprofit, for
Mm-hmm.
profit arenas, one of the things I noticed from leaders is how do they communicate?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that they're communicating? How is it that they're actually connecting? How are they listening? What is their confidence like? What's their emotional agility like? So
Mm-hmm.
that means to me, how do you respond versus react? And there
Mm-hmm.
is a distinct difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your responsive connectors are back here in your amygdala. So your reaction, sorry, your reaction. And so when you're in that fight or flight mode, that's all from that amygdala, right? It surpasses that thinking brain, which is on the front, goes back to the back of the brain. I know I'm getting a little technical
Yep.
here,
Yep.
but there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between what can I do in this situation? How do I think about this? And what is the end result that I want?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's huge because even if I step back in my history, and let me tell you a little bit about my history and why I'm here today,
Mm-hmm.
is because when I was growing up, there was a lot of chaos in my life. So my parents were really young.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was 17 when she had my brother, and she was with my father, and my father was 19, and then she was 19 when she had me, and I think my dad was 21, at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So they were a young couple.
Mm-hmm.
They were infatuated with each other. There was that spark of romance, but they didn't really know each other.
Right.
And as they began to learn about each other, I'm not sure if they really gelled. And
Mm.
so they came from very distinctively different backgrounds. And so it was tough for them. And so from that point, I was kind of I wouldn't call myself a sickly child, but I did have a major issue going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 6 months, I had a hole in my small intestine. And
Mm.
so what that meant was nobody knew. Nobody knew what was happening. And my mom would take me back and forth to the doctor. And she was a young mom. And they
Yeah.
would just say, she's got the flu, she's got a cold, she's got a this. Well, anyway, I went into a coma, almost died. They took me into exploratory surgery, and basically they found the hole. And
Mm-hmm.
from that, it led to multiple surgeries. And because my mom was young, they eventually split up. My mom and dad split up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the relationship was a bit abusive, so they ended up splitting up. My mom went her way, my dad went her way. It's not that I didn't ever have, contact with my dad, because I did, because I ended up living with them. But here's the thing, I was with my mom, then I was with my grandparents, then I was with my dad, and then I was with my
Mm-hmm.
mom again. So during those times, I had a lot of opportunity for how did I feel?
Mm-hmm.
I felt alone sometimes. Sometimes I felt abandoned. Sometimes I felt extremely loved. Sometimes, and I went through these up and downs of emotion to the point where I'm like, I need to look at my emotions. I need to be able to identify them,
Mm-hmm.
understand them,
Mm-hmm.
and then respond versus react to them in
Right.
every situation. And I'm not saying that in every situation we're going to be like, oh, let me think of the end result here. But because we all get upset,
Yeah.
we all have emotional days. I get it. I get it. But the more we practice emotional agility, and being aware of our
Mm-hmm.
emotions, guess what happens, especially as human beings in business, as solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners? That allows us to connect better
Mm-hmm.
with the people that we work with, the
Mm-hmm.
people that work for us, the people that we're trying to connect with, so our
Mhm.
brands, so there are so many things that being emotionally agile
Mhm.
really infuses into our daily lives and how we connect with people from a marketing perspective, from a business perspective, from a human perspective. So
Mhm.
that's why I think being emotionally agile is so key to being successful as a human being personally and professionally.
Yeah, as you're speaking, what came to me was, yeah, you're like the personal brand person.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
if you ever look at Hallmark commercials, if you look at Budweiser commercials during the Super Bowl, guess what? They're connecting with you
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah.
They're pulling at those heartstrings. They're getting you to think, but it's not here. It's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's in your heart. And
Yeah.
so when they get you, they get you. And that's what you want. You want to understand that though. And
Yeah.
it really starts with, how do I recognize my emotions? So what I would say is, every day, or if there's a situation that arises, do an emotional check-in.
Mhm.
How are you feeling? Have you ever went to counseling? Or have you
Yeah.
ever went to a coaching session
Yeah.
where they have a sheet of paper and there's all those little faces on them?
Yeah.
And they say, how are you feeling today? And I know it sounds cliche, but it's like, you really, really, really want to be able to
Yeah.
name it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling upset, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling, such and such a way, because that helps you identify and be able to
Mhm.
explain to others what you're going through.
Mhm.
And when you can do that, guess what? Most of the time, people will be more understanding,
Yeah. They're more willing to listen to you as well.
willing to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as
Yeah.
change makers, we really want to be in touch with our own emotions, and
Mhm.
also be emotionally agile, know how to really understand where that confidence comes from that day, or in that situation, or
Mhm.
with our clients, or on that TEDx stage,
Yeah.
right? Or as authors, we want to tap into that and understand that, because that our emotions are infused, guess what? In everything we do,
Right. Right.
from the time we get up to the time we go to bed.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I think that it's a key component of being successful in everything that you do and in your profession.
Mhm.
And then the other aspect to this is, as you become more aware of what it means to be not just emotionally intelligent, or EQ, right? But emotionally agile. And I'm a doer. I've always
Mhm.
been a doer. I always said, I may not be the smartest person, but if I do 80%, I
Yeah.
can get things done. If I research, if I do, I can get things done. And that's, to me, the difference between emotional IQ versus or EQ versus emotional agility. Emotional agility is actually putting action into play. So, understanding your emotions. What does that mean? When you understand those emotions, how do you respond? What are the next steps to respond? How do you communicate how you're
Mhm.
feeling? How do you communicate and listen actively to others? So, and how do you show your own confidence, right? As a business owner. So,
Mhm.
through your marketing, through your personal uh, affect.
Mhm.
So there's just so many things. And it's not just overcoming, it's understanding.
Mhm.
It's first understanding to be able to overcome. But I think you'll do have to do less overcoming if you understand, and then you take those steps to emotional agility and emotional response.
Mhm.
So you'll be more effective in everything that you do.
Mhm.
So I think that that also leads to that connection component. How
Mhm.
are you connecting with community? How
Mhm.
are you making those meaningful relationships?
Mhm.
How are you reaching out? How are you responding? How are you connecting? How are you digging a little deeper? So
Mhm.
my question is to the folks out there listening, when you have a meeting, an in-person meeting, let's say, as an example, is it Hi, my name is such and such. Here's my business card. See you later. Oh, is it something? Let's connect. Let's do it. Let's do a coffee, right? Or is it, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me more. I want to learn about you, John, Susie, Jane, whoever
Yeah.
you are.
Hmm.
Oh, I see. So how did that happen? And you start really engaging in a
Hmm.
real conversation. You really get connected and show interest in somebody else. You really, truly block out everything and just want to know about that person.
Hmm.
Those
Hmm.
connections, those are meaningful.
Right. And they're your best friends in the end, or allies, if you will,
Yeah.
if you ever need anything and want anything, right?
And not only that, and that is true, but not only that, let's say for instance, we switch the platform from in-person to digital, right? And you go
Hmm.
to social media. Many of these people on my social media accounts, I have never met in person,
Hmm.
but guess what? We have some of the most incredible
Hmm.
connections. Let me give you an example, Marilyn. So November 29th, I had surgery for malignant nodule in my lung.
Hmm.
And prior to that surgery, 1 week prior to that surgery, a bunch of people from my LinkedIn account
Hmm.
had connected with me and they
Hmm.
said, hey, guess what? We have a surprise for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, what for? They just said, because we want to be a support. We want to bring a smile to your face. And in my email, I received a gift that was worth almost $1,600. And
Hmm.
I could do anything with it. It
Hmm.
wasn't a GoFundMe. It was just a gift where they put these things on cards and you can get any card you want to do
Hmm.
anything with. And I was like, what? I haven't even person, but we have such a
Yeah.
close connection that somebody started this message in the back end. They all started DMing, they all got together and they
Hmm.
got this beautiful gift for me. And then on top of that, hold on. Don't leave me. Okay, I also received during this time, and again, from many of my digital connections because of the relationships we've built over time,
Hmm.
they sent me a book. They sent me a book and created this book. And it basically is a book where they have reached out to people on my Facebook page, on my LinkedIn page, on my Instagram page to write pages and pages of stories about me. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Hmm.
And so
Powerful.
my friend Oleg Lohid put this together. And all these people, they even got in touch with my brother. I'm like, how did you even get in touch with how did you know? Like, it was amazing. And I got that in the mail after surgery. So it was another little something to say, oh my gosh, I have
Yeah.
this made this community of people that many of them I have never met in person,
Hmm.
and some of them I have, and we've had amazing times together. And we felt
Right.
like we already knew each other because of what we've created digitally, right?
Hmm.
Together as collaborators, as business owners,
Hmm.
as friends.
Hmm.
So I'm saying that some of the most important things here is that emotional connection and that community connection, being
Right.
emotionally agile, being emotionally responsive,
Hmm.
um, and connecting, having those meaningful connections mean so much. And really, when you do, guess what happens? Those are the people that lift you up on your
Hmm.
social media pages, whether it be through your business, if you're having a personal issue, a professional issue. Those are the people that you can tap into and learn
Hmm.
from, just like I learned from you, just like I learned from some
Hmm.
of many of my other um, folks on
Colleagues,
media and
friends.
colleagues. Exactly. So it is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Hmm. Yes. Thank you so much, Summer. That was an awesome story that you shared and how
Sure.
it helps so many other people, change makers. So we were going to you're going to give away a PDF. What is the PDF about again? It's a tip book,
Yeah.
right?
Say again, I'm sorry?
It's going to be a little tip book, right?
Yeah, it's a little tip book. It's tips on how to be more emotionally agile. And so I think that just with these simple tips and reading through them and actually practicing these
Mm-hmm.
different things will actually help you make different choices and better habits, create better habits.
Right.
So I hope that people benefit from this tip book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any questions, always feel free to come to me and ask.
Yeah, thank you, Summer, so much. And plus, below Summer's video, there will be a link if you want to work with her more. If she inspires you enough to say, I want to work with her. So the link will be below her video, and you could go to her and check her out. So thanks so much, Summer, to be on the call with me. I so appreciate it. Enjoyed your tips and your inspiration and your bubbly attention.
Thank you so much.
A spirit. Yeah, spirit. Okay, great. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll all see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.